This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt stuck, whether it's a major life transition, a dark night of the soul, or just staying small out of fear. If you've ever struggled to move forward, if you're repeating unhealthy patterns in relationships, or you have a black belt in beating yourself up, you were meant for more, and this podcast is for you. We'll get real, we'll get vulnerable, we'll probably cuss a little bit, and we'll get to the root of it all, your self-worth. With every step, you'll find the courage to rise. This week, I want to talk about bypassing. No, I'm not talking about heart bypass, although technically that's really what I'm talking about, just not the kind that requires a cardiologist. So we are going through a very intense and uncertain time in our history. And it's something that's unlike anything we have experienced on a global scale. Even 9/11 it feels similar to what we're going through now in terms of a lot of the uncertainty and the fear and the pain and the processing, but nothing that has so dramatically changed our daily lives and nothing that has so much uncertainty and so many emotions connected to it. And I have been watching and reading articles and posts and, videos on social media and things. And I do try to limit, honestly, my consumption of a lot of that, staying responsibly informed of the news while also watching when you very easily get overwhelmed and thrown into disempowering states like fear and panic and all these other things. However, something that I have seen entirely too much of since this began, and it's not something that's new, but it's something that's very clearly being heightened through all this, is positivity bypassing or spiritual bypassing. And it happens when anyone uses positivity or spirituality to bypass honest and real human emotions. And the thing about this is that while it may be fundamentally well-intentioned, it misses the mark. And it misses the mark in such a way that it perpetuates exactly what we're working to shift out of, to become really in touch with ourselves. And that is all about processing our feelings and our emotions. Because think about it even from a gender perspective. Think about the little boy who falls down, skins his knee and cries and is told, be a man, don't cry, right? Don't show emotion. What does that create? That creates men who feel like they're not allowed to feel their emotions. They still have them, but they've been told and conditioned that it's not okay. And I use that example because it feeds into what I'm going to talk about today on this episode, which is this idea that we see, or that I see happen entirely too much, of bypassing the emotions that you're feeling. And no matter what's going on in the world or what's going on in your personal life, it's okay to feel the feelings that you have about a situation. Where we go sideways is when we deny the fact that we have emotions, that we have feelings, when we should on ourselves, when we say, I should feel a certain way or I shouldn't feel a certain way, or we don't let ourselves feel what's very honest and real. And in the times that we're experiencing now with a global pandemic, I don't really care what your personal opinion is about it. I don't care how it started, what's politically motivated, whether it's a conspiracy theory or not. All of these things, sure, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and you deal with it how you deal with it. But what's not okay is telling other people that they cannot feel feelings, or telling other people that this isn't real. Because once you know someone or have 1 degree separation from someone who has died from it, it gets really fucking real. So is this an opportunity for our entire world to slow down, to go inward, to reflect. Yeah, that's true. That's accurate. Is it a time for us all to see how we are more connected? Yeah, that's accurate. Is it potentially a reset to a lot of systems that maybe haven't been working well? Yeah, maybe so. Is it an upgrade on a spiritual level? Yeah, maybe so. And also, this is very real shit that we're dealing with. And, a lot of it comes down to this idea of people I feel fundamentally misunderstanding positive mindset. Because I am a huge believer in the power of a positive mindset. And I don't just say that because it's psychobabble life coach bullshit. I say it because I've seen it in my own life. And I shared with you guys quite a bit on my first episode and bits and pieces throughout a lot of the other episodes I've produced. But I've struggled with anxiety and depression for a large portion of my life. And I can get to some very dark places. And I know how really real that is. And I know that it really does make a difference in your life when you can create positive mantras and mindset, and you do have the positivity to overcome and move through things. You develop grit to move through adversity. All of those things are very real and very true, but it misses the mark when we skip over allowing people to have feelings about a situation. And I got this email this morning, and I wrote a blog post about it. I got an email from a local recruiter, and the email started out, "Hey everyone, stop moping." And basically went on to say, "I know all your sporting events and this and that have gotten canceled, but the world hasn't stopped." And it was basically, suck it up, here's how to get your career on track. And it really struck a nerve with me. And I crafted a very careful response. Because the first draft was, what the actual fuck is wrong with you? And, a quick review of how to win friends and influence people. That's not going to go over well and be well received. And she may not have received what I said well anyway, but the point is that we are collectively, as a society, as a world, experiencing the entire range of human emotions right now. We're experiencing fear. We're experiencing fear and uncertainty for our health, for the health of those around us, for our finances, for the economy. All of these things are very real. And we want to honor the fact that that fear is there without allowing it to overtake us or disempower us. And that means things like limiting, the influx of information that's starting to put you into a state of constant anxiety. And here's how that positive mindset shift works. First and foremost, you honor the feeling, honor the fear, honor the anxiety and the uncertainty. Let it be there because it is there. You can't, you can, but it's not going to be effective in the long run. Jump right to, ignore, just suck it up, stop moping. Ugh, right? You can't do that because it denies the fact that you're human, that you have emotions, that you have the entire spectrum of emotions about this. So what it would look like is you feel the fear and acknowledge, yeah, I'm feeling pretty scared. I'm feeling scared for what this means for me, what this means for my family, my kids, my parents, my friends, the people around me. There's a lot of uncertainty. Yeah, I'm feeling fear. I'm feeling fear about my finances. I'm fearful of my job. And you just let that be there and acknowledge that that's okay. Honor it first, because when you honor it and you stop denying it, then you can shift it. It's like an energetic shift. And you don't tell yourself not to feel it, because the fact is you do feel it. And then you shift into, okay, what can I control? What is within my control? And then you go to finding ways to count gratitude, taking it one day at a time, looking for the little joys and the silver linings where you can. That's how you do the positive mindset while still honoring the fact that you are a fucking human being with a lot of emotions, and honoring the fact that, yeah, we still get up and go about our lives in this new normal that we're experiencing, but that you have an entire range of human emotions that comes with that. And uncertainty is the big one. And it's okay that you feel the uncertainty. And it's okay that maybe you're going to have a day where you break down and cry, because guess what? That happens. Happened to me last night. Fell apart, ended up in bed at 1 a.m. eating a burrito. True story. Don't usually eat burritos. Frozen burritos are a hot commodity these days. But it happens because you take in everything that's going on around you as well. And especially if you're a highly empathic person or you really tune into other people's emotions, you're going to be picking up on all of that too. And so let yourself feel that. And this whole crap that I'm seeing also of, oh, you have to be productive and you have to do this, and oh, you have all this free time. First of all, who has all this free time? I don't think there's as much free time floating around as everybody thinks. People are working from home. I've worked from home for almost my entire career. You're still working. And now people have kids at home, and now they're doing the job of being a teacher too. Like, not everybody has just this great expanse of free time. And if you do have free time, you don't have to use every single minute of it doing something. It's not that you can't. I mean, there's something to the Puritan work ethic, and there's something to, we joke in my family about organize your sock drawer, but we say that because it's like sometimes when you have no control over anything, which is really always the case, you go to the thing that you can control. I can go and organize my sock drawer and feel like I brought some degree of certainty and order to things that are extremely uncertain. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, of not denying the fact that you're feeling these things. Let yourself feel them. It's totally okay. And don't buy into this, especially in corporate America. It's interesting to see how different corporations and different managers, not always leaders, are handling this, because the answer is not always, how are you being productive today? How can you be more productive? Guess what? You're still doing your job, but you're also operating from a place of massive uncertainty and with a lot of emotions. And we're humans at the end of the day. And this idea that, especially in America, and really I can only speak for America because it's where I lived and it's where I've worked and it's my own experience, this culture of busyness, it's a little ridiculous. Like, it's as if people, not all people, but there are some people that don't understand that it is possible to work hard and to be productive without doing it 24/7. And in fact, it's not actually productive to do it 24/7 anyway. But the point being that it's okay right now and always if you have a day where you feel so bowled over by emotions that you need to just stop and feel them. Because we are collectively going through grief, and grief comes in waves, and sometimes it hits you out of the blue, and let it be there. What we want to watch, and why that positive mindset is important, is we don't want to fall into a dark hole. We don't want to fall into depression where we can't pull ourselves out of it, or we can't easily pull ourselves out of it. But the way that we can avoid some of those things is letting ourselves feel it. Because when you feel the emotions, then you move them through your system, you process them, you allow them to be there. You're no longer fighting against them. And so, yeah, we're going through collective grief. And guess what? It's also okay that you're feeling disappointment about things being canceled. Don't minimize that. That's honest. Graduations are being canceled, proms, weddings, baby showers, sporting events. It's okay that you feel disappointed about that. Nobody gets to say, don't feel that way. Now, we want to keep things in perspective. That's always true. Yeah, we know that there's a good reason why these things are happening. We're trying to contain the spread of a virus that we still know very little about. But it's okay to feel disappointment about that. Keep things in perspective, but let yourself feel disappointed. Let yourself feel that grief. And this is why I say keep it in perspective. I feel like sometimes people don't understand that feelings aren't mutually exclusive. You can feel disappointment about your baby shower not happening and not being able to celebrate that major life event, and still acknowledge that there are things that are going on that are preventing it from happening. You see, it's about feeling both. It's about letting yourself be disappointed, letting yourself feel the grief, and move through it. Yeah, we're all experiencing a new normal right now. Life as we know it is very different. And there's grief that comes with that. There will be another side. We will come out on the other side of this. But don't be hard on yourself for however you're processing through it. Feel the feelings that come up for you. Then shift into how you can resource yourself to move through these things. And more than ever, I've talked about resourcing yourself before. More than ever, it's important to resource ourselves with good food, with as much sleep as we can. Sometimes, insomnia, it comes along with times of stress and uncertainty. So take a nap if you can take a nap. Find ways to rest your body, rest yourself. Movement is always good. You don't have to go for a run if running is not your thing. Maybe it's a little yoga. Maybe you just get up and have a spontaneous dance party. Anything to help resource you, to put you in a place to be able to handle the emotions and the uncertainty that's coming every day. And for the love of God, don't buy into this positivity bypassing nonsense. People get to feel the emotions that they're feeling. And the way that we collectively move through this and anything, this is not just true for global pandemics or major scale things. This is true of breakups. It's true of job loss. It's true of anything that you're dealing with in your life. Call it secret sauce, magic recipe, I don't know. To work through these things is first and foremost, feel your feelings. Honor the fact that they're there. Don't judge them. Don't should on yourself. Feel it, let it be okay. Cry if you need to cry. And then shift into, okay, how am I going to resource myself to move through this? What do I need? I'm going to write a gratitude list so I start to control my focus. So I start to put my focus on positive things. And that's when you move into those things. But the feeling and the honoring your feelings has to come first, needs to come first. Because otherwise, you're creating this state of forced, you're forcing yourself into something that isn't actually going to help you deal with the situation in the long run. It comes back to a lot of what we've already talked about and a lot of what I write about. And the things that I write about have come from my own personal experience of working through anxiety and depression and uncertainty and figuring out how to live a life that isn't about squelching yourself or shoving yourself into a box and trying to pretend that you don't have feelings about life or trying to force yourself into a certain image or what you think you should be. This is what it comes down to. And more than ever, this is why it's important not to should on yourself. Don't tell yourself how you should or should not feel right now. There is no right or wrong. How you feel is how you feel. It's what you do with it that matters. And more than ever, you need to let yourself feel what's coming up for you around this. If you like to journal, even if you don't like to journal, it's a good exercise to do, to have some place to go to write out what's in your head. Just go out and write down the things that you're afraid of. Or, when you're feeling emotion build up, this is what usually happens. When we don't deal with emotions and don't honor feelings that we have, they don't just go away. It's like putting a lid on a boiling pot of water. It's not going to stop boiling unless you turn the heat down underneath it. And it's like a gas, they just totally got the flash or the image of the movie The Shining in the book where the gas blows because they don't let the valve off, and it's sort of now this weird connection to being in isolation and brings up a lot of negative connotations. So we're going to shift out of that real quickly. Stephen King's a great writer. Pretty sure he authored 2020. I saw that meme recently. Can't argue with that. I am off topic now. Releasing the pressure was the point. And the pressure comes from those feelings that are building up in you that you're not letting yourself feel. So don't should on yourself. You feel what you feel. How you deal with it is what comes next. That's the shift. Feel the feelings, let them be there, and then shift how you're going to handle them next. And shift it is about accepting how you feel. Don't shit on yourself. And then shifting into, okay, yep, this is the reality of the situation. I have processed some feelings around it. May have some feelings come up again, but it's okay. I know how to move through it. Now I'm going to look at how I can condition my focus. So how can I resource myself on a daily basis to move through this time of uncertainty? Or any time, right? But we're taking this as the big example. How can I resource myself to move through this? Well, as good as it might feel to dive headlong into a bag of Cheetos, if I do that on a daily basis, it's probably not going to put me into the best state from a nutritional standpoint. And that matters. What you eat matters long term. And so you want to resource yourself by, eating good foods. I'm not saying don't have your snacks, but it's balance, right? Not defaulting to drinking a lot right now. That's another thing, because that's a form of escapism. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a drink here and there. Good on you. Absolutely. But we've got to watch that it doesn't turn into another form of escapism, because that also impacts our brain chemistry. It also impacts how we feel and how we're resourced. So monitoring those things, choosing, if it's a mantra or an idea, returning to your faith of trusting that everything in the long run is going to be okay. Doing that to resource yourself, not to deny reality, not to jump to a positivity bypass. Feel what you feel, and then find ways to resource yourself through what's going on. And don't be afraid to share vulnerably. Healthy vulnerability is being very honest about what's going on with you. Healthy vulnerability, I'll do another podcast on this because it would take me another 20 minutes to dive into this, but healthy vulnerability is about all of us honoring that we're all human, that we're all going through the same roller coaster of emotions right now. And it's okay to say, yeah, I ended up having a pretty intense, emotional meltdown last night because I just was feeling all the feels. And I cried and I was grieving and I was mourning, and wow, it was intense. Because guess what? Everybody on some level is going through the same thing. And you being vulnerable about your experience gives them the space to share that too. And that is also what connects us as humans. So remember, let yourself feel what you feel. There is no right or wrong way to do this. Let yourself feel what you feel. Don't judge yourself for it. And then shift into a gratitude practice or your joy journal, or connecting back to your breath, or doing whatever practice or trying new practices that are going to help resource you on a daily basis. And for the love of God, do not send a mass email that says, stop moping. Okay, that's the end of my story. Soapbox away. But I'm sending you guys so much love. We will get through this. And no matter what, remember, sparkle on. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Courage to Rise podcast. Visit my website, couragetorise.com, for more information on one-on-one coaching, group coaching programs, and other upcoming events. Remember, life's too short not to sparkle. Sparkle on.